Hello and welcome to the Sirrano Show and the New Jersey Pulse News. We are here with Passaic County's County Clerk, Kristin Corrado.
Hello.
Nice to meet you. I'll shake your hand.
Nice to meet you.
Okay, I wanted to do an interview with you because I wanted to find out, you have been in office for how many years?
4.5.
4.5. And you have an election coming up?
Yes, I do.
Okay. So we wanted to find out from you, when you just got started, all the things that you have done until now, and then going forward.
Okay.
So I'm going to start with, before you were county clerk, what was your occupation?
I am an attorney, and I am partners with my father in a law practice in Totowa.
How long have you been a lawyer?
22 years.
22 years? What kind of law do you practice, or how do you practice?
We have a general practice firm where we do real estate, wills, and we represent the town of Totowa as well.
Okay. What made you decide to become county clerk?
To run for county clerk, the opportunity was presented to run for office. It was something I'd never done before, and I decided I was going to give it a try.
Okay. Was there anything appealing about the job?
It seemed to be one of the more natural fits for somebody with my background, an attorney by trade, and I had a little bit of familiarity with the office, knowing that that's where your deeds and mortgages are filed, since we do a lot of real estate transactions with the law practice, and I knew a little bit about the office too, just because of elections.
Now run down for me exactly what are all the things that your office handles.
So the office is somewhat diverse, and I actually, once I got into office, learned more about it. There's 3 separate branches within the office, and they have really no related features. Most people know the county clerk because it's where you record your deeds and mortgages, and the office is responsible for recording all the property records in Passaic County. The records date back over 175 years. That's the registry division. You have your clerk division where we process passport applications, we issue notary oaths, veteran IDs, and if you have a business in Passaic County, you would register with the clerk's office. And then there's the third office, which is the election division. Any county petitions that are filed in the office. We're responsible for the drawing of ballot positions for elections. We prepare the sample ballot and the face of the voting machine. We oversee the vote by mail process, and at the end of an election, election night, we count the votes and we certify the election when it's over.
Sounds like a lot of work.
We also do weddings every time as well.
Okay.
Over 900.
900 people, you've married 900 people.
Yes.
And that's your authority as county clerk.
Right. It's a statutory provision that we have the right to do it.
So, and as well, they can go into the different cities or choose you as well.
Correct.
Mayor or county clerk.
Correct.
When you got into this office, you took over from Karen Brown, also a lawyer. What did you find anything that you had to change? Were there problems? Did you bring new ideas? What happened?
Really, anything that I've done in the past 4.5 years is built on what was started by my predecessors. One of the things that Karen did when she was in office, she started back scanning the property records in. So we continued that forward. So she had done 20 years of records. It makes it easier to search, easier to access, and we continue to do that. And there were additional documents that we scanned in and they're available online. So really, anything we've done over the past 4.5 years is just built on what already was there. And they had an outreach program, but we expanded it. Maybe they were open on Saturdays. We chose to go to each town and offer a mobile passport service. We do it during the day and we do it at night, and we rotate it throughout the county, just making it a little bit easier to bring our services to the community.
So you enhanced the office.
Yes.
Kind of like a hybrid now, right?
Right. We try to do everything. And I have to say both Karen and Ronnie were very helpful in being accessible.
Ronnie? Who's Ronnie?
Ronnie Hopkinson was the county clerk before Karen Brown.
Okay.
And they made themselves available when I had questions.
What were some of your challenges when you went into that office?
The first thing is that you're walking into an office and you don't know anybody. You don't know any of the employees in the office. And the first thing I had to do was make sure I learned the job, because I can't expect somebody to do something if I don't know how to do it as well. And it's my job to fill in if need be. So So the first year, there's a learning curve. You're learning how to do almost every single position within the makeup of the office. And then I hit the ground running and went to work.
So suppose I'm trying to get a passport, because like you said, you do elections, you do businesses registration, deed registration, passport. Did I miss something?
Nope.
Okay. So if somebody had a problem with a passport and says, look, I need to go to Mexico, so give me this, what happens?
So you would need to know how the quickest way to expedite a passport, and the customer fills out the application. You're there to assist and answer questions and make sure it's done correctly, that they have all the identification that they need, the documentation that needs to go with it. One of the things that I've done while I've been there is we have the 3 different offices, but we've done a tremendous cross-training so that if somebody happens to be out in one department, we can plug somebody in from another department. And it's worked out extremely well that any person within the office can work within another office, and we'll all assist each other, and it makes more of a teamwork approach. And that's one of the things I've concentrated on doing. And while I was doing it, I made sure I was up to date on what the procedures are. The law is always changing. There's changes in election law all the time. There's changes in the passport application, the process all the time with under the federal government, under the State Department, and they're always enhancing or upgrading or changing the way we do things. So you're constantly learning, no matter which department you work in, but knowing what everybody's doing on a daily basis makes it a little bit easier to oversee the office too.
Now, because the passport is an identification, have you had fraud? Have you had any attempted fraud?
If we think we see something that there may be a question about, there's a process for us to notify the State Department. If we have something that's questionable, we'll take the documentation, but we do notify the State Department.
Have you had enough chance to do that?
I personally have not. The office has had opportunity.
So you've had reported people before
Yes.
trying to sneak into the system.
They're pretty good on picking up things. They'll change the way maybe you do an ID, and they've noticed that there's fraud, and they're in constant communication too, alerting us to what's going on, or that they've had issues with a certain type of documentation. As much as once they upgrade something, those that are standing learn how to do it too.
So the criminals try to stay ahead of you.
They always do. The State Department constantly does refresher courses, and our staff always does that. And there's a recertification process each year. They also come in every couple of years, and do audits and review the office. And we got 100 on our last audit.
You got 100? Well, congratulations.
We got a perfect score.
A perfect score?
And that's a reflection on my staff doing their job.
Yeah? Okay. So, as far as deeds are concerned, you said you have the deeds of every house in the state county?
Yes.
You do? So if I'm looking up a certain property, I don't relatively need to go to the city, I can go to the county.
Yes.
And you'll have the deed.
All the deeds in the state county, anything that affects title or property is recorded in the county clerk's office.
So every time that property is sold,
It's recorded in our office so that there's a permanent record of the title and the transaction. And that's been going on for almost 200 years in the state county.
that's a good investigative tool for me. I didn't know about that. So if I'm looking for a property that's changed hands 6 times, you have that?
We have the information. We don't do the searches for you, but
you
the
get
information is accessible.
Okay. Now, we just had an election, and there's always some kind of problems in the election process. Tell me about the last one.
Some of the things that we've dealt with in the elections, I think that were unprecedented, was having 2 hurricanes while I've been in office. That has been a unique experience and something that we never really had to deal with. We had email voting in the state of New Jersey, which we've never had before.
Wait, when did email voting start?
It started in the general election of 2013, and it was only for the purpose of that election.
So I get people in Mexico on a computer trying to vote?
It was for displaced voters, those who were displaced because of the hurricane, but they did allow it in the state of New Jersey with certain protocols put in place. We do voting by email, but it is typically for your military voters. And there's a protocol that's in place, and that's why we were able to do it last election. One of the things you do when you email vote is you give up the privacy of your vote.
When you email, because you can do an Oprah and get that information.
Well, it's not available by Oprah, but the voter does sign a disclosure saying that they are aware, because there's no way to do it
How do you know it's the same person on the other side of that email?
Who's voting?
Yeah.
It's typically that it's your military that's been doing it.
No, I meant like in the last case with Sandy.
We didn't know who was actually doing the voting, other than that there was a signature process in place where we verified the signature. Something that we're not, it was unprecedented, and they only allowed it because of the situation in Sandy. I don't know that we'll see it again, at least not in the next few years.
Okay. Your office, county clerk, is separated from the superintendent of election.
As well as the Board of Elections.
As well as the
Three
Board of
separate
Elections.
offices.
Three separate
We
offices.
overlap and we work together, but we each have distinct functions.
What is the difference between your office and the superintendent's office?
Superintendent is in charge of voter registration and voting machines. We're in charge of vote by mail, so we work with them to make sure that somebody is registered to vote. The Board of Elections is in charge of training the board workers, and they also count the vote by mail ballot on election day. So we all have related functions, work together, but separate access to the statewide voter registration system. They can do certain things, we can do certain things. We overlap or interactive, whichever function.
So you have no jurisdiction over the voting machines when somebody wants a recount?
If they go to court for a recount, we're involved.
How are you?
Because on election night, the cartridges are counted by us, the results from the voting machines, the cartridges, and then we have the tally. So we also have the tapes from the voting machine. And the board workers print out on election night, so when there's a recount, we're involved because we go back to the superintendent's office, they open up a machine, and we verify it against the paper receipt that we have. So we're all involved in the process.
What is the difference between your office and the election commission?
The New Jersey Election Commission?
Yeah, the one with John Curry is the
It's
president.
John, you mean the Board of Elections.
Board of Elections.
Board of Elections has 4 commissioners, 2 Republican, 2 Democrat. On election day, they count the vote by mail.
So they have to vote by mail.
That's correct.
Now, remember the Rigo Rodriguez thing where 48 votes was missing and they found it. That was their responsibility to count those votes.
Yes.
Okay. And when he sent someone allegedly to hand in ballots, and they were not supposed to do that, did he also hand it to them or to your office?
We don't get voted ballots, but because we process the vote by mail ballot, we receive the applications, and there's 2 distinctions between the office, whereas we have messengers that are authorized by a voter to pick up their ballot, and there's a limit to 10 in the state of New Jersey. However, the messenger is who the voter is authorized to drop off their voted ballot to the Board of Elections. There's no restriction on how many they can drop off, and it doesn't necessarily have to be the same person. So if you're dropping off the voted ballot, it would go to the Board of Elections.
So they got in trouble because they were dropping off ballots that the voter did not necessarily tell them to drop off.
I think the issue was that maybe necessarily they hadn't voted or it wasn't their signature. There were different issues because they were outside the parameters of our ordinance.
So they dropped it off to you.
Now they dropped it off to the Board of Elections.
Board of Elections, again, who counts it? And they found a problem and it went from there to another problem to another problem.
We started with complaints by voters.
Complaints
That's
by
how the
voters.
investigation started.
Now, you're a Republican,
Yes, I am.
running on the Republican side.
Correct?
Okay. Now, you're running a ticket.
Yes.
Who are the other members of your ticket and what's their status?
The 2 freeholder candidates are
I don't-
John Capo
Yeah.
and Claudia Chavez.
Claudia Chavez, and John
Capo.
Capo. Okay. So it's you, it's Capo, it's Chavez, and who else?
That's it.
That's it? Just the 3 of you?
There's only 2 freeholders seats up this year.
Okay. And is there anybody in the top of the tickets that's pulling you as well or supporting you?
There's congressional races this year, so there's different depending on the district that they're in. The Senate race also this year. 1 Senate seat.
Who's running for the Senate seat on the Republican side?
On the Republican side, it's Jeff Bell
Jeff Bell?
against Cory Booker.
Okay. So is it Bell, you, if I'm going top to bottom, Bell? you?
Well, depending on which town. So in my hometown, it's Freeland Heisen, who happens to represent our district. And then I would be next.
Is he running this year?
Yes.
Okay. So it'd be him, it'd be you. So if you wanted to build a team in a line, that would be the team in the line. Okay. So what do you think about your opponent who's running against you? And you don't have to call his name now.
I don't know that much about him, to be honest. I've met him a couple times. I know he's an attorney. He has been solo practice, Hawthorne. But that's it.
Okay.
Yeah.
So what do you think the people feel about you after being there for 4.5 years?
Well, I hope they think that I've done a good job because I've worked very hard the past 4.5 years to do right by the office. I don't really care what party you're from. I believe we serve the public, and I try to do that. And some of the ways I've tried to do that is by making it easier to access our office, whether it was enhancing the website so that you can go on and get an answer to a question. So a lot of times people don't pick up the phone anymore. They'll go online to see if they can find the information. So if we think we can provide that information online, we've done that. We put all our forms up there. When the election happens, we put the results up as quickly as possible so that you can access it. So that was a simple thing that we did. And we also expanded our hours. We open earlier now than we used to. We open up at 8 o'clock so you can run in, do whatever your transactions in the office, and be work on time. We did that by instituting flex time, so there was an additional cost to the taxpayers. We've reduced staff over the years, naturally through attrition. People have retired, but continue to increase and expand our services. And I'm proud of that. We put the satellite office up in Wanacue for our county residents, since it is hard to get down to Patterson. We have a satellite office.
Is a satellite office? How does that work?
We have it staffed full time, Monday through Friday. It happens to be in Wanacue on Millwood Avenue, the county facility. The Board of Social Services is there as well. And we're also open one Saturday a month so that you can come in and do whatever transaction you wanted to do. We can do everything that we do in the office in Patterson, our main office, with the exception of elections full time. So whereas you can drop off your application, we can't issue a ballot at this time. That's just because it's not recognized as an election site. That's one of the things I would like to do in the future.
Is?
Make sure that that office is fully functioning as an election office, so you can come in, fill out your vote by mail application, get your ballot, vote, and drop off your ballot, and same way you do down in Patterson. Just be a lot more convenient for county residents.
What else would you like to see in the future for this office?
I think that's one of the main goals is to continue to do the outreach that we're doing. We have a set schedule right now with most of the towns. Example being that today we were in Totowa from 11 to 2. On the first Monday of each month we're in Thompson Lake. So we have a set daytime schedule that we've implemented in about 10 other municipalities in State County. Of course, we're always open full time in Patterson and Wanacue, but making our services accessible has been incredible. It brings back revenue to the county since we are a revenue generator. We don't use tax dollars in my office. We're fee-based, so everything we make comes back to the state.
Wait, the county clerk makes money kind of like the post office now, right?
We do make money like the post office, whether it's from the real fees that we process or the passport applications that we process. We're strictly fee-based, and we are the second largest generator of revenue in the state county.
So you don't get a government salary.
No, well, we get a salary, but the expenses in our office are covered by the fees that we bring in.
Okay, so you have money coming in,
Yes.
and that is used to pay your staff.
It goes back to the county fund.
Okay.
From that, it covers what our expenses are for the year, so that everything else that we do goes back to the county. So within the last 2 years, we've given them an unanticipated revenue of over an extra $5 million to what they had already budgeted.
They got an extra $5 million from you. Now, the budget for your office, how does that compare to the income that you're getting?
We get a percentage, and we're under the 2% cap like everybody else does. If anybody knows me, I'm rather frugal, and I know that things are expensive, so you either save money to
You didn't
buy
want to
what
say
we
cheap,
need.
right?
I'm not cheap. I'm not cheap, because sometimes you got to spend money to make money, and I understand that. But if we don't need it, we don't buy it. Because I'm a taxpayer in state county too, so the more in line my budget is, the less money is going to be in my county taxes overall.
We're not going to put that you're frugal.
I'm frugal. I am. You know, like I said, we've reduced staff over the year, and by cross training.
You really want me to say frugal?
Frugal's good. You don't want to say cheap, because I'm not cheap at all.
Okay, so you balance your office well. You've given them $5 million over what they recommended from you, or is it
what they anticipated. So when county does their budget,
so if they anticipated 20 million, you gave them 25.
Right.
Do you know the exact numbers right now? Off your top of your
Each year it's varied. The first 2 years, and it was based on the real estate market. The revenues were not quite what the county expected, and then in 2012, it did much better. So,
Okay, so what else would you like to see from this office?
one of the things that we started, and we've done it as a mobile service and a full-time service too, is the Veteran ID program. And it's a free photo ID card to all our veterans. In Passaic County, there's over 23,000.
23,000 veterans?
Yes, and it's not an amazing number
Yeah.
in our small county. It allows them to get discounts at like Home Depot and Lowe's. We have about 150 businesses over the past 4 years that we've worked with and that offer discounts. I'd love to see that expanded, the program continue.
And to be a veteran, you have to be like, you have to come up from the war. And like if I see somebody beating somebody up and I cross the street and I go help them out, no, doesn't qualify?
No, it doesn't. But it's a small thing, a small thank you to those who have, committed their
23,000?
lives and time to serving our country. Yeah, and we do it with as a shared service program too, with the county's veterans officer. He comes to the outreach events that we do, so if they have questions or are looking for information, he's right there to answer them. So it's been really a home run program over the year. We want to make sure we get each vet. It's also available for active duty officers and serving in the military too.
Now, this might be an off question, but I go through the streets of these communities. Some are clean, some are not. Some are struggling, some are not. Well, I guess they're all struggling these days. Your office is in Patterson, right?
Yes.
Do you have any effect on what's going on in Patterson right now? As generous crime, education, helping people, just in their daily lives?
In their daily lives? We always are about, one of the things I stress is that when you deal with people coming into our office, to treat them with kindness, the same way you would want to be treated. And I found that our staff is incredibly generous. We work with the Blue Star Moms, collecting donations for the military, to wounded warriors. Whenever there's a cause, we're always there. Just by treating people with respect each day. I think that's one of the kindest things you can do. It's unfortunate what's going on in Patterson right now. You see a lot of homeless. You see a lot of young kids struggling with drug addiction. We see it every day down by the courthouse, and it's unfortunate. Work with Catholic Charities on a personal level, and as well with the Veterans Program, because this is providing program. And I found that our staff is incredibly generous, not just the county clerk staff, but courthouse staff. Providing donations over the past 4 years. And whenever we've done a drive to the veterans or food soldiers or the Catholic Charities, has always been more than ready to step up and help.
Okay, so I'm a voter in Wayne.
Yes.
Why should I vote for you?
Well, being proud of the record that I've had for the last 4.5 years, one of the towns that we go to on a regular basis is Wayne. As I said, we make our services available to the residents, not just what's convenient, or 8:30 to 4:30 Monday through Friday down at the main building in Patterson. And I've done the job over the past 4.5 years fairly. If you, regardless of what it is, followed the law, done what's expected, but I've tried to go above and beyond that, whether it's been treating people with kindness or watching the bottom of your dollar. I've done the job, and I think I've done it well.
Okay, so I'm a voter in Patterson. I have issues.
What are your issues?
I've got a city where I want people to care about. I've got, a city where there's no jobs or hardly any. I've got people with open canisters just hanging out drinking in the street corners. I've got crime and shooting just about, every other day, few days, weeks. I've got all those things, and you come in the middle of all this and you say, vote for me. I want you to tell me why.
Well, first of all, you should always exercise your right to vote, and my feeling is if you don't vote, you don't have a right to complain about anything. I work in Patterson. I'm there every day. I see what's going around. If we can help anyone, we're there to help them. But it's been a tough 4.5 years for that city. We don't just do our services in a bubble at the county administration building. We go out within the city and do it. So we do go out and do IDs at the library. We do go to the veterans housing on 18th Street. We're part of the community, and we want to stay there, and we want to help in whatever way we can. There's a lot of good people in the city of Patterson, and just go to work every day and do their jobs, and we do the same thing.
So, seeing that you're employed in Patterson, you drive through and you see things that are issues. But I think where I'm limited with you, not the other officials, is that you have to function in the capacity of your office, not outside as far as crime and everything is concerned. But you are running into other people who may have those concerns. So I think I'm going to save my questions for them, because I think you're limited. You're not an officer, you're not in education, and you're not doing so that's why. But I just want to know what your thoughts are, because this office is in Patterson. And personally, I think everybody who either lives or works in Patterson should pay attention to what's going on there and have some kind of interest.
You have to, because not only do I work in Patterson, but I live next door to the city of Patterson. So what happens there affects the rest of the community surrounding it. The city's not just in a bubble. And a lot of the problems some of the problems that are going on, at least to an extent, with some of the homelessness, they're kids from the suburbs.
Coming into Patterson,
Coming
because
into
I've seen it on the
Patterson.
street.
It is, and we see it. So it definitely affects everybody.
Okay, so I want you to just open up and tell the public why they should vote for you. Now, before you say that, I know you mentioned that when your office functions, it does not function as a Republican or Democratic office. It functions, and I want you to go from there.
It functions as a county office that provides services where the public comes first. I've stressed that over the last 4.5 years, and will continue to stress that. People coming in, it may be to have their notary oath administered, or it may be a vote by mail application. I would tell everyone, it can be intimidating to walk into that big building down on Granite Street. So the first thing we're there to do is to help.
And plus, they search you when you go, and I get searched all the time.
They search us too. We go through the same security that you do.
I'm the president of it. I don't care. I don't say it, but they know who I am. I have to take my belt off.
So do we. And we're okay with that. And it's done for our protection.
So they're intimidated to go into this big building.
Right. Just sometimes, especially I'll use your naturalized citizen applying for your passport, and we're going to take your naturalization papers. And so a lot of people are nervous about that. We're there to reassure them what the process is. Give them an extra copy of your naturalization papers. We're there to make the process painless, and pleasant for them at the same time, and answer any questions that they have. If it's not our office and we can direct you to the correct office, we're there to do that too. We're there to help. First and foremost, we do serve the public in each capacity. During elections, we're there to make sure it's done correctly. It's fair. It's not Republican or Democrat. If it was partisan, maybe the Republicans would have done a little better over the last 4.5 years. But I am an attorney first, and I took an oath, and I take it extremely seriously. So I'm going to follow the law. I'm going to follow the statutes. I'm going to be fair.
Yeah, because you went up against your own party for that office.
I did.
And I was like for it. And you were like, my office is first before the party's first.
That's right.
Because I saw you in the courtroom, and you were there, and you had your own attorney saying this has to be done this way at this time. So, and so you have elections, you have deeds, you have passport, you have what other thing? Veteran IDs. You have yourself, which is what
and the weddings.
The weddings.
We do.
And your office is running $5 million more perfect than it should be, because you got
I'll
that.
let you know at the end of the year how we do this year. It's been a little tougher, but yeah, the money.
You
all
don't,
goes
you
back
have to, because you have an
to-
election coming up in November, November 2nd.
Fourth.
November 4th?
Mhm.
Okay, November, usually it's different, Tuesday, right?
It's always the first Tuesday.
Okay, so, so like I said, 100% functioning, you don't need any help, you don't need somebody to come in there and mess things up, is that what you're, that right?
Oh, no, I mean, the office does run well, and I'm very lucky to have a staff that works hard, and, they're not political people.
The good thing is that also, you keep praising your staff.
Do have a great staff. I mean, the reality is, they make sure I always do a good job when I came in, and you're only as good as those who work not for you, but with you, and that's what I think of it as a partnership with the people that I work with. And so we work well together, and I think that's a reflection on all of us.
100%, and it's been running. So, Kristin Corrado and what's the other two?
Capo and Chavez.
Corrado, Capo, and Chavez.
Just remember the 3 C's.
3 C's, that's good. That's, how am I going to? Oh, the camera. The camera has a 3C.
There you go.
Hang on. 3C. November 4th,
Correct.
2014. Thank you very
Thank you.
much.